Today's desk side chat is titled How Corelle Brands Accelerated an E-commerce First Strategy in the Midst of COVID. Before we kick today's session off, one thing to note, this will last about 20 minutes, so make sure you have the proper time allotted on your calendars. All right, great. So first things first, I just wanted to intro who Corelle Brands is, if you're unfamiliar. Here in the US, this is just a staple brand, iconic brand in the homeware industry. But in their words, Corelle Brands is home to iconic category-leading homeware brands, including Corelle, Pyrex, Corningware, Snapware, and Chicago Cutlery. They're passionate about delivering products that facilitate the joy customers find in cooking and sharing food with family and friends. So I'm joined today by Lindsay Ball. I'm going to hand it over to her to give herself a quick intro, and then we'll go from there. Lindsay.
Hi, thanks, Sam. Yes, so I've been with Corelle Brands for about 3 years now, and before that I've been working with other retailers, both internationally and national, for over a decade. And at Corelle Brands, I am the Senior Digital Marketing Manager, and basically oversee all of our channels, website, paid marketing, affiliates, emails, and just make sure that they're connecting the right way to provide the optimal customer experience.
Awesome. That was a great rundown of your role. Love it. Quick intro of myself. I'm Sam Kowalczyk. I'm a Client Success Manager at Immersis. I've been in the digital marketing MarTech space for the last 5 years, managing clients in various verticals. My greatest pride and joy is just seeing my customers succeed and implementing their digital marketing programs. So I know I speak for both Lindsay and myself. We're excited for you to join us today for this chat. All right, Lindsay, you ready to hop in?
Sure thing.
Okay. All right. So within the first month of lockdown, how did your team strategize with the ever-changing retail climate?
Sure. So one of the first things that we did was really hit the pause button. With everything changing, with everything being unknown, we were lucky that not only are we in the digital space, but we were a consumer product that the consumers needed. But we wanted to make sure that with all the unknown, we were really communicating with the consumers in a way that not only represented who we are as a brand, but what they needed at the moment. So we took a step back. We really reassessed our team. We knew that basically within a moment's notice, we were going to have to flip everything upside down and redo our marketing strategy, relook at what is the next steps for our company. So it was important to reassess and find out what resources we had and really how we could get things done and how we can make the maximum impact with really a minimal effort, because we still had to do all the day-to-day stuff that's important to our brand. So for us, kind of combining that listening to the customer and where can we make the maximum impact, we realized that we need to figure out how to connect to the customer. And the best way to do that is to let them tell us really what they want. So we focused on subject lines and really our promotional messaging. So once you opened up the email, while you were on our site, how are we communicating? And the different key performance indicators that we started looking at shifted really to open rates and unsubscribes. We wanted to make sure that our consumers were engaging with us, that it was the right message, and that we weren't losing them and offending them. So those are really our first steps that we took. And then from there, we kind of looked at the marketing calendar. So once we got that voice out, once we realized that the consumers were responding positively, we started looking at products and what do they need. And so surprisingly enough, a loaf pan for Pyrex baking is not one of our key items, before COVID. But when we were looking online and when we were looking at data, we found out that consumers not only were buying it from our site, but they were also talking about it online. So we leveraged that, external conversation And we started focusing those items. We started bringing the items that were kind of hidden for us to the forefront, and really making sure that as things were trending, we were kind of trending along with it.
I love that. Everybody needed a pan for that sourdough starter they were making, right?
Oh my gosh. And then it shifted to like gardens, and we can't help you there, but we had you covered for all the baking.
Follow up. How did industry data shift your thinking at the beginning of COVID?
Yeah, that's a great question. So really the data, the best thing about digital, and I think probably everyone on this call will have two complaints. As marketers, we never have enough money and we never have a big enough team. But what we have available to us is really, it was a changing of the mindset. We can leverage everything out there digitally. So that means your competitor now becomes part of really your team. So we don't have to necessarily go out there and test everything on our website. We just have to identify like companies, follow what they're doing, figure out what's successful, and then not directly implement it, but look at how it makes sense for our brand and our customer. So we really expanded our team by following other retailers out in the industry to find out what are they doing as well to make it a better experience for the consumer. We also really leveraged analytics. And so not only looking inside the Immersive platform and using smart insights and finding out what products are they buying from us, what is that conversation out there? You know, we just kind of alluded to, everyone started off and you were making bread, and then you were growing a garden, you were dabbling into all these things. But we also found out that the people who started baking, there were a lot of beginners. And so it was taking other things like recipes and bringing those to the forefront and showing how we can also help, not only in just selling you the product, but showing you how to use it. So you learn to love it, and that, you know, essentially they'll come back and want more, because for us, it's really not just selling a product to the consumer, it's connecting in that whole experience. So we kind of leveraged the data to be an extension of our team and really just expand when so many people within the industry were under so many constraints.
Oh, totally. That makes a lot of sense. And I'm hoping that resonates a lot with our viewers today. What were kind of your pivots as far as products go during this? I know you mentioned a loaf pan, but were there any specific categories that you really saw take off during this time that were a little surprising for you?
It was. So Pyrex became a driver for us. Bakeware was really important. Storage was really important. People were at home and, you know, they're looking at their kitchens every day. So that gave not only a sense of accomplishment, but it brought a little bit of joy to their lives. And so that really pivoted. And it also pivoted internally. So we had an opportunity with licensing. We recently kicked off a couple partnerships with Disney and Lucasfilms with Star Wars. And normally, Corelle Brands is, of course, we're digital focused, but the majority of our revenue comes from our retail stores. So it only makes sense that they would drive that conversation, they would lead it, and they would help with these launches. Well, with retail stores being closed, we kind of broke down the silos of our two teams, and we joined together not only to be an e-commerce first company and launch everything on our websites, but that also meant we're gaining new data. And it's not just data for the direct-to-consumer.com business for us. It's also data that we can leverage with other teams. So what do they need as they connect with the retailers and the sales teams want to go out there and once stores reopened, really convey this message to them. So we kind of shifted from looking at retail to looking more at a digital e-commerce first platform. And with that, we made sure to include everyone so that we were gathering the right information, because you don't get a do-over with launches. They kind of are what they are, and they move really fast. And so having that input, I think we learned a lot along the way, and it made us stronger in the end.
Yes, awesome. I know myself personally, I love my Pyrex glassware storage. Shameless plug, just kidding. I know, I know that, you know, you really leaned in and leveraged your Emarsys team during this time too, specifically around the product launches that you were doing regarding some of the collaborations that you did. Would you mind speaking a little bit further on that?
Sure. So for those of you who aren't aware, we kind of leveraged similar to how we brought our competitors in as part of our team. One of the reasons that we looked to Emarsys and we were excited about the partnership with them was it was really that. We were looking for an extension of our team. So we spend, Sam and I do these talks probably every week. We just don't record them. So this is a lot of what we do. And there's really two parts to those teams. So there's your client success managers. Sam is mine. Nick also helps out immensely. So we really have these conversations, and it's as simple as just going through what you would do at work, kind of this is what's going on, here's what's coming up, here's the changes, and then really just staying back and listening. I mean, the Emarsys Client Success Manager is there for two reasons. They're an expert in really everything that they know, Emarsys, which I'm not. So I need them for that. And then also they're there for our success. So that kind of starts the conversation. And one example of how they thought of an idea that really impacted our launch is we were just talking like, you know, we have Star Wars coming up for May 4th, and we're excited about it on the website. And then the team threw out there from Emarsys are using the web channel pop-ups. And to be honest, it never crossed my mind. And it was a really great opportunity for us because it was a feature that we weren't using, but it was really simple to implement. And so we knew we had a hot product and it was going to sell out. And we wanted to be able, with all of the PR and all the additional customers coming in, to be able to capture them and continue to communicate with them for when it came back in stock. So we used our web channel pop-up. Basically, when an item sold out, you can do it on several different pages. We started with the product detail page, so then we knew exactly what item, for instance, in the Pyrex decorated storage, if they wanted Darth Vader or Chewbacca, like that they were interested in. And then when everything sold out, we just did it as a category to really get those customers' email. And as we've been able to ramp up really production, as new releases have come out, they are the first to know. So we turned a negative experience where they didn't get there in time, they missed out, to really being able to send them a link that only they knew about on our website, and they got it before anyone else could. So it was just a simple conversation. It was one idea, and honestly, it took maybe 30 minutes to implement, and we've been using it for months now, and we'll continue to use it. It's great.
Yeah, I know that particular conversation really got our collective wheels turning, and how you can use that not only for that collaboration, but for the other ones coming up into the future. So really excited about your use of web channel. I can't take all the credit. Nick was a big help there as well. I know you just referenced your back in stock emails. So in reference to the web channel and the success we saw there with the products that sold out so quickly, as we know, Star Wars fans are fanatical about their products. So how have those emails performed in contrast to maybe some of your other emails that you send out?
Sure. So we just did one, and the subset that we set it to, we had larger inventory. So we set it to everyone who signed up through the web channel pop-up. And although the new customers are amazing, and that's what we're all looking for, we wanted to make sure that we treat our loyal customers with that same treatment. So anyone who had engaged in a previous Star Wars email, we sent it to them as well. And that was over half of our list, and we saw that everything was double across the board. The open rates, the click-through rates, the conversion on the website was through the roof. And so it really, by being able to target those consumers through that, it creates not only a good experience for us, but also for the consumer, and it increases loyalty. And really, I think that's what's super important right now. There's a lot of other kitchenware companies out there, but we want to kind of remain top of mind and remain number one in their kitchen.
Yeah, definitely. And I think engaging the way you have with those types of emails really opens up an opportunity to engage more post-purchase and further that loyalty into the future, because they may be a Star Wars loyal fan. Let's convert them into a Corelle loyal fan or Pyrex loyal fan. So definitely more to come there, right?
There definitely is. And that's kind of where it brings in the other service that we use. So we use oh my gosh, Sam, help me out with the name.
Strategic Services. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I could tell you all their names, but that slipped my mind. So yeah, there's a strategic service group. And why they're so amazing is we kind of use them like a kind of just a as needed type thing. So we have a contract with them, but if we need a designer, we have a designer. We have the strategic services. We have a project manager, which takes the pressure off of me and also puts the pressure on me to make sure I'm getting my stuff done. But, you know, we use them. So similar to the conversation that I'm having with my client success team, I'm also having with them. And as we share these results, similar to, you know, just what we did with all of you, they're able to take that and then expand on it and say, okay, let's look at automations. Let's figure out, you have a brand new customer. We don't know anything about this customer. We don't know if they want to continue to buy licensing products, if they bought decorated storage and they're a decorated storage fanatic and now they want to have, you know, this completely organized kitchen that looks beautiful and you could throw on Pinterest, you know, or if they bought decorated storage and now they want the plates to match. And so that's really where that team came in and said, okay, let's build out this journey. Let's figure out how we can collect that information by leveraging emails, leveraging where they click, and really building up those paths to understand this consumer we know nothing about. And where it's wonderful for us is this is in real time. So as fast as we can get this built and as fast as we can get it launched, we can start creating the best experience for the consumer before you lose them and they lose their interest.
Yeah. It has been a true team effort here at Emarsys to ensure your success, Lindsay, and I know you feel that all the way from, you know, Nick and I to Fran and her team and Frank and the whole strategic services side of things. So I know one of the things that you were really excited about in regards to strategic services was a gateway purchase analysis that was done. Would you mind expanding a little bit on that?
Sure. So you mentioned Frank, and it was really Frank and his team. And the best part about this is being with Corelle Brands, I kind of get consumed in the day-to-day, and we get locked into our brand, and we love our brand, and we're passionate about it. But sometimes it's hard to read data through that. So I often, when I'm doing a project, collect the data and send it to someone else and say, here, analyze this, tell me what you find, just to get that outside perspective. And that's really what the gateway analysis was. It really was what Frank and his team did. And so what they did is they looked at 2 years of data. We wanted to kind of make that a little bit more specific because there's a lot of data out there and we can all kind of geek out over it, but we wanted to learn about the first-time buyer and really looking at our websites as a whole as one product catalog and identifying different brands. So we were able to identify what brands, kind of how they rank in the first-time purchase. So are they buying Corelle, Pyrex, Corningware, Chicago Cutlery, Snapware, Visions? Like, where does that rank? Or are they also buying multiple brands? And the unique part about that last little section was that it's really cross-branding. And if you go to any of our websites, we weren't currently cross-branding anything in marketing. So the people who were buying something from Corelle and buying something from Pyrex were finding that all organically and on their own. So then Frank and his team did, and this is what I'm most excited about, was really they did what they call a product river. And this was an analysis where the goal was we're focusing on the first-time buyer, but in order to find out where they're going to go next, we had to leverage our data from repeat buyers. And so we looked at a subset that bought 3 times. And what does that kind of look like? And the majority, yes, kind of, if they bought Corelle, they continued with Corelle, and they really stayed true to that brand. But there were a whole bunch of consumers that really jumped from brand to brand and had these not only unique experiences, but similar experiences where we could start to figure out if that first-time buyer buys Corelle and they don't buy Corelle next, where are they most likely to go? And what brands can we kind of put in there? And so we're able to look at current repeat customers to predict what our next first-time buyer is going to do. And so what we're doing is then building out automations to where we can leverage this. And so it becomes not only here's the item you bought, and we're taking that recommended item outside of the brand. So it's not just a Corelle to Corelle, it's a Corelle then or a Corelle to Pyrex. And then based off of what they do in that email, we'll send them down different routes. And it's a true personalized experience. We're taking that experience of if you were in a retail store and you were talking to a salesperson, they would be able to have that conversation. They'd be able to recommend these products. And we're just doing this by what the customer is telling us by their actions. So it's great.
Yeah, that was a really interesting analysis that they did for you. So you mentioned you're going to be factoring those into automations. Is that something that is currently being worked on? Are we going to launch that? I mean, I feel like we're almost at the finish line there. What's the update?
We are almost at the finish line there. And yeah, so it'll definitely be it's a 2020 initiative. And there's a couple other little, secrets and surprises we threw in. But we're looking to launch it before our holiday, our Q4. And that also gives us, one of the things we do is we really we want to be on lockdown for holiday. That's its own it's like its own calendar year. It's its own event. It is the event for us. And so we spend the other 9 to 10 months leading up really doing testing. So having this information beforehand, knowing that we're going to see an extremely large lift in new customer acquisition during holiday, it's only what we're implementing now is only going to magnify and grow in 2021. So it's important, even though it's so easy to look forward to holiday and just say, I'll do that next year, to try to get those last couple of things pushed through. One of the best advice that really working with Emarsys that they gave us is just don't have the failure to launch. Like, just get it out there and then adapt and adjust later. And at first, I want everything to be perfect. I'm a perfectionist. But it really held true. And the beauty in that is you get it out there, and while you're trying to perfect it yourself, you're trying to guess what's going to work. And if you just get something out there to test and get results, it's going to make whatever you're working on stronger, because you're able to then take the data to predict where to go for those next steps. So I would say that's kind of why the first-time buyer will be in our arsenal for a long time. I'm excited to see all the different changes, but we are just really working to that deadline right now. Get it launched, get it out there, and then grab the data and move forward. So thank you for joining.